Hello, it's your 17819987. Today, 9 big battles. And we have 6 league battles, 2 major story battles, and 1 champion battle. Starting off with Marnie. So these first 2 league battles are our rivals. So we have to start off with Marnie, and as you're about to see, she wasn't overly complicated, but you did have to kind of play a little carefully. I'm Angie was probably the best solution for this. I should mention the team while we are fighting here. This Draining Kiss is going to easily take out Scrafty. I chose I'm Angie, Dagon, Octillery, the Crockett, Rock Smash, Mai, and Kiku. So that was the team I went into the league with. Now this Toxicroak is quite dangerous, so we have to be on our feet about this. He kept using Venoshock, which I didn't understand at all. But yes, for this gameplay we have 9 major battles. So I've got my slippers on, I've got my tea ready. I am just so ready for this, and definitely ready for the completion of the main campaign. So we are going to keep pushing Marnie, and Marnie hasn't changed too significantly. One thing that is interesting is she's a dark type user, but she uses Toxicroak, and now she's using her newest Pokemon, which is a Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. Now the Grimmsnarl we have to be careful about, because it's not fun to deal with at all. Dark Fairy is a pretty unique typing for a lot of reasons, and it's offensively very good, defensively not so much. I'm Angie amazingly lived that hit with 5 HP, so we're gonna go for a Draining Kiss, but that won't be enough to take it out. They're actually the same level. This Grimmsnarl gave me some trouble at the very end of this fight, which the rest of the fight was relatively easy. Her Pokemon aren't very bulky, so as long as you have a Pokemon that can take it out, it's not a huge issue. See, the problem here was I would have used Hitmonchan, but Rock Smash would be weak to the Fairy type moves, so this made it more complicated. A simple headbutt was all that was needed to finish her off, however. So that's Marnie down. And between this small intermission, I should explain. Between the league battles, I would frequently move around the items I had and moves, because you can use TMs. And if I was not in the league at the time, I would change up the moveset moves that you can learn via level up. But in this case, I can't do that just yet. So we're going to give Dagon a Citrus Berry. Pretty simple change. And we're going to go in to fight Hop for now, probably the 7th or 8th time. These are sped up, obviously. I would have wanted to include them in their totality, but if I'm being totally honest, it would take a long time. I'm already cramming so much into the video as it is. So, he starts out with his dub wool, as usual. I'm going to take a rock polish strategy with Dagon, so that she can get a significant edge on double, but it started using Cotton Guard and raising its defense, so I couldn't do anything to it with Dagon. So I sent out my Mai will be able to mess up Double's attack. Not its attack stat, but like its approach. So we're just gonna burn it and confuse it. Standard stuff for Mai. And Double can't really do very much to us. But we are trying to just weaken it. I didn't know if Nightshade would work or not, but as it turns out, because Double is a normal type, it actually doesn't. So, Mai was only able to use status conditions, and that was it. So we're going to send in Kiku to do some more serious damage. Double is burned and confused. We are going to use double kick. And that did okay damage, but it could have been better. He full restored and removed all of his status conditions. That's a pretty common thing in this league. They all use full restores a lot. I unfortunately got paralyzed just there, which is pretty inconvenient. But every time that they use their full restore, all the progress that I spent with especially Mai to put status conditions on them is taken away immediately, and all of their health comes back. So the full restores are very annoying. Thankfully, we have a good answer to Snorlax. Rock Smash makes this easy as cake. Just fake out for a little extra damage, and then close combat it away. Well, actually, no. I went for the revenge. I forgot about this. So yeah, Snorlax would not live at a 120 power attack. That's just too strong. Alright, so Corviknight comes in next. And I didn't really have a good answer to this, actually. So I figured I would start with... Let's start with using some status conditions. It wouldn't be able to do much to Mai anyway. We're just gonna burn, confuse. This is why I love keeping Mai around, because she's an excellent utility Pokemon for hazards. And now Mai's gotten a lot weaker, so we need to be careful. But we've got our status conditions up. I'm actually going to use Disable to remove Drill Peck, and we're going to try a Nightshade. However, Corviknight snaps out of confusion and confuses us, which is pretty inconvenient. How will this turn out? Let's just see. I snapped out of confusion, and that was enough to take out Corviknight. Not bad. Not bad at all. Mai's done excellent. Then she learns Destiny Bond. This is a very interesting strategy to use. Destiny Bond will take out a Pokemon if your Pokemon will faint on the same turn. However, it doesn't really work on Pokemon that are faster than you, because Pokemon that are faster than you will kill you before you can use the move. So it's really only good for slow, tanky Pokemon. So Pincharin zapped us with a Thunderbolt. It's going to zap us with a Thunderbolt again. Dagon cannot take that. And yeah, that was annoying. But, well, yeah, I think we're going to go in with Rock Smash again. Rock Smash is kind of just the answer for everything. Not all the time, but most of the time. in these fights. So the simple 1-2 punch method was all we needed, and the next mon that is all he had left was Rillaboom. I actually did have Ice Punch, and I will use it, but he Dynamaxed his Rillaboom, and I didn't remember that he did this in this fight. So that made this a lot harder. Well, I mean, you know, Dynamax makes everything harder. I just wasn't expecting it. So we're not gonna live this attack. We just aren't. Oh, we did live it. We did, just barely. The grass covering will give us a little extra health, but it's not gonna be enough. And it also heals him too, which is annoying. We're gonna close combat for just as much damage as we can, and he will finish off Rock Smash. I salute you, Rock Smash. Good job. So, not too much health left, but Imangi has a very simple solution for this. Just Pollen Buff it away. Blam. Alright, so 2 down, 4 to go, plus some others. So, that was him. Now we have one of the important story battles. I didn't want to alter the footage of this because Oleana's battle is kind of unique. And to be totally honest, it actually gave me a lot of trouble. She gave me a lot of trouble. So here is Oleana. She actually has her own theme, interestingly enough. She starts off with a Frostlass, and she has a really weird team. But we had a good answer to Frostlass right out of the gate. It's going to Will-O-Wisp us, which, you know, not the best thing for an attacking Pokemon. I used Rock Polish, and I believe this will probably make me faster. We're gonna try a Rock Blast. I figured, you know, at this point we might as well just try it, because Dagon won't be able to do anything else. Did some moderate damage, but it wasn't enough, obviously. And she had Hex, so Dagon's just not gonna live through that at all. Dagon's special defense is just, it's so poor. It's terrible. Alright, so with Dagon out of the picture, we have a clean swap in, but we need to choose carefully. Kiku is the best option we have at the moment. We're just gonna go for the Pyro Ball, and that will be a clean removal of Frostlass, which can be a very annoying Pokemon to deal with, by the way. So, Frostlass out of the picture. He's this thing. Milotic gave me so much trouble, I started off with My, so I could use some status conditions. Well, though My was a good answer in terms of bulkiness to this Milotic, the problem with this was, as I later learned, this Milotic that Oleana is using has Recover, which makes this so much harder. It has Aqua Ring and Recover, so it recovers health very easily, which is quite irritating, to be honest. So I managed to burn her, which will kind of cripple its Aqua Ring a little bit. And it uses Surf a lot, which from a water type stab is going to do a fair amount of damage, even for a more bulky Pokemon like My. So as you can see, we're not really making much progress with that. I tried to go for Disable to remove Surf, but it went first and used Safeguard, so I was able to disable Safeguard, but Safeguard's not the right move. That's not the attacking move I was aiming for. So I wasn't really getting very far with this, and it was getting frustrating. But I had to heal up my MI before I could proceed. As you were probably aware if you played Pokemon for a long time, Milotic is just always a struggle to fight against, always. You either need a really, really strong physical attacker, which is not as... Milotic's defense isn't as high as its special defense, or you need a really, really strong grass or electric type. Or just, if you don't have either of those, just use your strongest attacking Pokemon. Because you need to, especially when it has recovery, you need to do as much damage as possible as soon as possible. Because it'll just, like right there, just recover it all away. And, I mean, it is nice I burned it before I used Safeguard. But even Nightshade, which does a steady 55 damage, it's not going to be doing enough, and it can't crit. So, yeah, we weren't in a good position here. We really weren't. And there was a lot of Pokemon I couldn't swap in. I couldn't swap in Dagon, couldn't swap in Kiku. They would both get annihilated right off the pitch. And others wouldn't take it as well. In retrospect, I'm Angie, the Rebombi would have been able to help, though it wouldn't be able to last very long. So I tried Disable again, second time. This time we were able to disable Recover, which is that's a good thing to disable. So now the Milotic can't regain its health unless Oleana heals it. So we're going to try Confuse Ray again, just so we can prevent it from attacking. But unfortunately this Surf was a high enough roll to take us out. Which is okay, at least we'll get a clean switch in. And it still can't use Recover, at least for a few more turns. So we just need to do damage right now. Right now. So it was a difficult choice here. I ended up choosing Rock Smash because it had the best physical attack and resistance for this. I was inwardly kicking myself because I didn't have Thunder Wave, or not Thunder Punch. I didn't have Thunder Punch. That would have done the most damage easily. But we're gonna go for close combat, and almost did it. But Burn will likely faint, I think. No. If I remember correctly, her Aqua Ring went off first. Let's see. See, I had to be very patient and careful here. Yes, her Aqua Ring went off first, and then it burned, so she didn't faint. Even then, I was like, just get off of my screen. Gosh. And I just punched it away. Yeah, that was frustrating. So, Olean's not done yet. She's gonna use her Seed Arena, and thankfully this is not a hard Pokemon to counter, not at all. We're gonna use I'm Angie because its Bug Fairy typing will resist Grass type moves very easily, but it used Acrobatics on me. I was like, are you kidding me? Because that does a lot of damage. Yeah, and I went for Pollen Puff. But Pollen Puff wasn't quite enough, so it was able to take out I'm Angie. At least we did some damage. So, pretty frustrating. We're gonna send in Kiku to finish it off. So yeah, Aliana's given me a surprising level of challenge. Now, if you know what happens before this in the story, I had to climb up an elevator fighting trainers to get here. It really wasn't mentionable. It wasn't really special at all, especially if you played through the game before. Now, Salazzle, at this point, I didn't have a good answer to this at all, so I just went with a really risky strategy. Crockett is not terribly bulky, so you have to be very careful when you use her. So, we send in that Venoshock. I don't know why the AI keeps using Venoshock. Now, here would be a good time to use Venoshock, since I'm actually poisoned now. But we are going to just go for the Hydro Pump. I love this animation. Gone. Oh, that's all it took. So, yeah, that's why I keep Crockett around. Nice, clean KO. And, well, except for we're poisoned. And her only mon left is her Gigantamax Garbodor. This thing is fairly bulky. And as for most psychic ground types, you're gonna need psychic ground types. As for most poison types, you will need a psychic or ground type if you're trying to do super effective damage. It's actually a pretty threatening Pokemon, I'm not gonna lie. And I didn't have any psychic Pokemon to counter it, so yeah, this was an easier. So it's gonna use its special attack. Turns out G-Max Malador causes poison, which I did not know that. So we're just gonna try Rock Smash. Of course, with Gigantamax Pokemon or Dynamax Pokemon, either or, they only have 3 turns to do this. The normal strategy would just be to kind of wait it out. We're going to revive Dagon while we're waiting. G-Max Malador is going to pop off on us and poison us. Pretty inconvenient. But at least we have... Oh, is it badly poisoned? No, it's just standard poison. So Rock Smash is not going to be able to do very much here. And my fighting type moves won't be very effective either. I tried to use... That was stupid. I tried to use Fake Out, but, you know, an Ice Punch would have not really done very much anyway. So, that was kind of a waste. So we have Dagon. Dagon does have Bulldoze, so that'll at least be super effective. And its Gigantamax has worn off. So, we have a fighting chance now. I am going to activate my Dynamax now. It's generally best to save this for later. And this was actually the first time I ever Dynamaxed. Yeah, the first time I ever Dynamaxed Dagon. Pretty cool. It looks good, Dynamax. Alright, so Garbodor for some reason started using Toxic Spikes. I don't know why. You know, it's one of those just AI flubs. It did survive the first hit. It did. But it's not going to survive the second. It had weak armor, so I think it may strike before I do. Because it got the speed raise. I went for the Max Rocks Fall just because I could. And it used Toxic Spikes again. What in the heck are you doing? But that was enough, you know. It had been kind of an annoying fight, so that was only on a pretty unpleasant experience, but it was worth it. And that was the first time I had to fight her. If I had to do her fight again, I would be really irritated. No lie. So, that's a major story battle out of the way. Deep sigh. And now we're gonna fight Kirby again. He rudely interrupts our actual final battles in the league. He only has 4 Pokemon. Most of the other final gym leaders that are in the league use 5, so his battle's a little shorter. So we started off with Dagon again because it had Bulldoze. He wimped out and used Full Restore. I was angry that he did that, but we're faster than him because of Bulldoze. And you know, this fight surprised me the first time I did it, but you know, now having done it for the 3rd time, it's just annoying. Like, I mean, the story reason for him to be coming back and, you know, becoming a gym leader and all that, no, that's cool. I'm not angry about that. So we did change up Rock Smash's moveset. He now has Drain Punch, Thunder Punch, Bullet Punch, and Fake Out. So different moveset now. I changed Rock Smash's moveset like 7, 8 times. So it's gonna be different a lot. Now Rapidash is pretty dangerous. It's very fast and it hits hard. So we had to swap into My to take a hit here, because Rock Smash would not be able to take this hit. So this was one of those things where it's just like, I knew in the back of my head, I swore, you know, Rapidash has got to be a fairy psychic type. I remember this. It's a Galarian Rapidash. It's a fairy psychic type. Well, you know, it's one of those things where you're just kind of in a routine and you're not thinking in the moment. But I was like, let's try a Shadow Punch just to test my theory. And it was. I was like, why didn't I just use Shadow Punch right away? Why didn't I just use Shadow Punch right away? Anyway, so his final Pokemon is Hatterene, and we're gonna take care of Kirby once and for all now. His Gigantamax Hatterene is definitely not to be trifled with. You know, it's a strong Pokemon, no question. But we had a good answer to it in My Ghost type moves are good for this. As you can see, that does enormous damage. And he used like a version of G-Max Starfall, but it wasn't enough to take me out. It did confuse me, but My is a champ and broke through the confusion. So goodbye, Kirby. I don't want to see you again. Please. Please leave. Alright, so that's enough of him. Let's get to the actual battles. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to the real stuff right now. So, Nessa. Compared to her first battle, her battle here in the league is much harder. She starts off with a Gliscod that likes to use First Impression and just likes to rough up your groove. Really just ruins your time. Makes your day a lot harder. It had Shadow Claw, which made this pretty inconvenient, but I decided to mess with her and use Destiny Bond. So that was an easy takedown. It was a dirty move, it really was. But I don't care. I don't even want to bother. So I gave I'm Angie, it now has Magical Leaf instead of Bug Buzz, or the bug move it had before. It's because of this Water Gem. This was not a good swap in because Pelipper's got the flying type moves and it did use it, so that likely would have taken out I'm Angie. So Pelipper's a threat. It's going to use Tailwind to raise the enemy's speed. I'm going to use Hyper Beam. This felt really good in the moment, but she healed up with Roost on the turn I couldn't use. I used Hyper Beam again. This was one of those like just dumb monkey brain moments. I almost took her out with Hyper Beam. I was just trying to eat it, and I got really close. 2 Hyper Beams wasn't enough though. So, you know, we tried. In this situation, Crockett wouldn't have been able to do very much. So we're now just gonna let Imangi kind of take care of this. And I knew that the Sea King likely had something for this, so I'm just gonna keep attacking it. It did have Aqua Ring, so it's gonna recover a little bit of HP. But this should be an easy 3-hit KO. Had Smart Strike, Steel type move. And I'm going to use Draining Kiss to get some health back, but that was kind of not extremely well calculated. I at least got a little bit of health back, but I ended up losing it some in the process. That's one of those things you just kind of have to think through a little bit better. And Barraskewda is pretty dangerous. It's really fast. It's super duper fast. So we're going to have Rock Smash take care of this. Liquidation does moderate damage. I'm going to do the 1-2 punch, and I use Drain Punch to get some health back. Almost took it out. And then we're going to use Bullet Punch to finish it off. That's one instance where Bullet Punch actually really came in handy, because that would allow me to outspeed even the fastest of Pokemon. So now here is her Dreadnought, the water rock type. Gigantamax Dreadnought, which you have not seen up to this point until Nessa's League Battle specifically, is very defensively bulky, so it's difficult to get rid of. Thunder Punch did good damage. In retrospect, I could have used Drain Punch though, but we barely lived. Drain Punch gave us some health back. She is going to use Stone Scourge, which I had never heard of. It must be a Gigantamax move specific to Dreadnought, would be my guess. But all we need to do here is just send out Imangi and finish it off with Magical Leaf, because this will do 4 times damage. So, bye-bye. Yeah, that was a fairly challenging battle, but you just didn't want to overthink it. Just don't overthink things sometimes. So, this next battle is with Bea. Now, Bea, I was scared. I was scared of Bea, because I don't have very good counters to Bea at all. And a lot of my Pokemon can't take the fighting type moves very well. I got super lucky that High Jump Kick missed and damaged Hawlucha. That was very lucky, because High Jump Kick would have easily taken out our Dagon. So Phalanx is in here. I just went for the Bulldoze to lower its speed. Fortunately, Dagon's got pretty high speed, but 2 close combats was too much. And now we can come in for a clean switch in. Imangi has Draining Kiss, so that's probably the best solution we can come up with right now. And yeah, easy clean up, finish off. Now these next Pokemon are the ones I was worried about. Grapploct, not so much. I'm going to use Reflect, which I taught to Imangi to give us some physical defense. And she kind of didn't use the right moves for this. I mean, if I was trying to run away, that would be a problem, but I wasn't. So, yeah, that was a simple takedown. And now she sends out Surfetched. Now, Surfetched is a threat, and I figured it probably has a Steel type move. So I decided against keeping Imangi in the fight. Let's pull her out. So we send in Mai to kind of just disable it. Used Slam, which was like, Slam? Seriously? It did have Brutal Swing, but it didn't do very much because I had a Colbur Berry. I actually read that far ahead of time. I had a Colbur Berry to weaken its dark type attack. And I burned it, so now I won't be able to do very much. Shadow Punch, burn, and I'm actually going to disable Brutal Swing, so that's not be able to do very much to me. Disable comes in clutch sometimes, it really does. So it switched to Leaf Blade, which Leaf Blade's a little bit scary because it has a higher potential to crit. A little bit scary. She healed up here, which was kind of a lame move, but you know, it's just what AI does. We almost fainted there. She used a full restore, so I burned Surfetched again. And at this point, I healed up. You know, my mentality is, if they can heal up, I should be able to heal up too. In some fights, in some playthroughs I should say, I think the more appropriate thing sometimes if you're looking for a better challenge would be to do a no items run, which is significantly harder. But this is just a casual playthrough, so I'm not worried about that in this case. So we took out Surfetched. Now here's where the real challenge begins. Her Gigantamax Machamp, just like when we had trouble with it the first time, way back when, is still a problem. This thing is difficult to take down. I figured it was going to use a dark type move, but actually used G-Max Flare, which really caught me off guard. I used Destiny Bond in a desperate attempt to catch it, but I used it the turn before. You have to use it like the same turn so it doesn't work. So my mind is going to take the L there. Oh well. And the next best thing we had was Imangi, but we also kind of need to weaken it first. So we're going to use Kiku, we're going to Dynamax Dynamax him. And we're just going to nuke him with a strong fire type attack, which fortunately Kiku is pretty good at doing. That did do a lot of damage. And now it's going to use its special fighting attack. It's a physical attack, not a special attack. It's just, you know what I mean. And fortunately, that was all I needed to do. It could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse. So yeah, I was definitely worried about Bea. She can be difficult to counter sometimes. And I didn't have flying or psychic types. But Raihan was just as worrying. So take the difficulty you have from Bea and raise it up another notch, because Raihan is just tough. He always has been this way. Though I will say his team hasn't changed very much either. Starts off with Torkoal to get the sun coming up. And I want you to see what happens this first turn. Watch carefully. 1, 2, huge crit, enormous crit. 3, 4. That was so clean. That was beautiful. So we got rid of Torkoal right away. But now we gotta worry about Flygon. Flygon's a challenge because it has a lot of moves it could use on you, and it's difficult to predict. I didn't know the moves off the top of my head, so my was just the safest swap in. We're gonna burn it. It used Sandstorm to change it to its advantage, and fortunately for me, this Will-O-Wisp does land. It's harder to hit Flygon in a Sandstorm. So with it burned, we don't have to worry as much. I'm gonna Shadow Punch. That did okay damage, but it wasn't the greatest. And I'm also going to disable Crunch because it's doing too much damage. But as with so many times before, if he uses a full restore, it's going to remove all the progress I made. I also learned the hard way a few times that if you use hyper potions, they only heal up to 120 health. So around this time, I may not be getting to full health with just potions. So, fortunately, that was enough to take it down. So, 2 Pokemon down, 3 to go. Turtonator, you have to be really careful. Really careful. Because it likes to use Shell Trap to take your move and hit you back with it. I disabled Shell Trap, which was... I was happy I was able to do that because that completely ruins Turtonator's strategy in a lot of ways. Go for a Shadow Punch and just try to weaken him. Turtonator does have really high special attacks, so you have to be careful. This Pokemon hits hard. And we're gonna go for another Shadow Punch. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Now, Shell Trap is enabled again. He heals Turtonator, which was irritating. And we have to watch out for Shell Trap again. Unfortunately, I got a little greedy. And now Shell Trap finally popped off again. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of trick it. I'm going to go for a Rock Polish to raise my speed so that it won't hit me with Shell Trap. Well, I did it twice just to be safe. And it did work. Its Shell Trap didn't work because I didn't use an attack. And I'm just going to bulldoze them. Alright, so we are 4 speed up on Dagon, which is pretty good. Dagon is going to stay in because I was like, why even swap out at this point? 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost. But that was a pretty substantial amount of damage on Goodra with just Rock Blast. And Facade will be enough to take it out. So that was very good too. Dagon did very well in this battle. But now Duraludon is the Pokemon we have to watch out for. Because Duraludon is dangerous and very bulky. I decided to just keep Big on Duraludon. But this ended up not working because Duraludon's steel type attacks are just so strong, it's ridiculous. And its defenses are really high. Max Quake from us did a fair amount of damage, but it wouldn't do enough. Fortunately, my defense is also very high. Dagon's defense is easily up into like the 170 range. He used Max Knuckle, which was actually weaker than Max Steel Spike. I don't know why he used that. And didn't do quite enough because he raised his attack and defense with Max Steel Spike. So that was actually a well-calculated move from Rayhan. He raised his defense with his max moves. His next turn, he will not be able to stay Gigantamax though. So just about anything will take him out. Just about anything. So Body Press will do a lot of damage, but Drain Punch is more than enough. And that was Rayhan. It went pretty well. It went pretty well. I was happy with those results. So, yeah, I had to go to Slumbering Well and go through Slumbering Weld and go with my rival to get an item. Pretty annoying, to be honest. But it's just story. You have to do it to move it on. Alright, but now we have a challenging battle. I changed up my moveset. Rock Smash has a completely new moveset just for this. So Fake Out, we are going to raise our attack with Power Up Punch and just hit everything with either Fire Punch or Drain Punch. And this ended up being a pretty good call. So both Escavalier and Theraphorn are going to get annihilated. Actually got a crit Fire Punch. That was amazing. Now, previous fights with Rose, I had one playthrough that I fought him like 10 times and just couldn't beat him. he is actually quite threatening. He can be very dangerous, and his Pokemon are very difficult to take down. But we happen to have a good answer to him. You'll notice we Drain Punch there. We're gonna just keep Drain Punching to get our health back. So we actually were in a really good position here. Rock Smash is just obliterating his team. We have the option to learn Heavy Slam on Dagon. I didn't do it. Alright, so his next Pokemon is his Gigantamax Copperajah. Pretty strong Pokemon, but I'm gonna also Gigantamax, or Dynamax, my mistake. And like I said before, I relied really heavily on Rock Smash. Really heavily. But I had to because he held a critical role in my team. And without Rock Smash, this battle especially would have been a lot harder. Much harder. So, Copperajah has sky-high defenses. Max Knuckle did a lot of damage first hit. It had Max 9 Storm, which did more than half, but it's not going to matter. My next move will take it down. I decided to go with Max Flare, and that was enough. So, basically, Rock Smash handled that entire battle by himself. Amazing. Very well done. I was very happy with that because I was seriously worried about his fight. And then we had to go up to the top of Hammerlock and fight and capture Eternatus. And it took 15 minutes and it was boring, and if you played through the story you know what that's all about. But here's where the real money is. We are finally up to the point where we're ready to fight Champion Leon. We are ready to fight him. He has this long dialogue before you fight him, and yes, we skipped a lot of story to get to here, but if you've played this game before, you'll know. So, yes, he poses to the sky, and then he walks backwards. And then he does this really epic twist, stretch, and he throws his cape off dramatically. Now, Leon, in terms of like the most recent gens of champions, really tough. He is tough, no question. Why did I start with I'm Angie here? Why did I start with you? So this is our first champion battle. We're gonna use Reflect and raise our defense. I predicted the King's Shield. This is completely unedited because I wanted to show it in its entirety. So our defense is raised here. Now, his Pokemon are in the 60s, from 62 to 65. Look at my party, we're in the mid 50s. So his Pokemon are a good 8, 9, 10 levels higher than mine. So he does have a big advantage on me in levels. So I still have Reflect up. It's going to use Flash Cannon, which will ignore Reflect. Does moderate damage. But I'm going to use Blast Burn for the easy takedown. I taught this to Kiku over in Winden, and that was more than enough. But unfortunately, Blast Burn, like Hyper Beam, causes you to have to wait a turn after you use it, which is not always good. So this Haxorus is really strong and has a lot of coverage for a lot of Pokemon. It's really dangerous. And he's just going to take us out with Earthquake for Kiku, so Kiku's down. And now we have to think of a good counter to this Haxorus, because this thing's attack is through the roof. Through the roof. Haxorus hits so hard on everything. And so it's like, well, what do we do? What do we do here? Of course, I had like Ice Beam on Crockett, which would do super effective damage, but it likely won't do enough. So let's start with Rock Smash. Now, Rock Smash is special defensively bulky, not necessarily defensively bulky. We're going to start with our classic 1-2 punch, get some okay damage off, our Reflect wore off, which is not good timing for that at all. And I'm going to go for an Ice Punch, but he is just fast enough to outspeed me. So, unfortunately, Rock Smash cannot take an Outrage. Outrage at 120 power, coming from a Dragon-type Pokemon, which is Stab, that has a very high attack stat. Outrage does just enormous damage. Fortunately, Imangi is immune to it. We're going to hit it with a Draining Kiss. It's not powerful enough, but we're able to do it again because Imangi is... Actually, no. Imangi is not faster. Well, that's kind of interesting. Imangi was not faster. She's normally faster than about everything, but Iron Tail was enough to take it out. So, yeah, this thing is really a pain in the neck. It really is. It's confused from Outrage, but we're going to use Ice Beam. It did hit itself, and we're going to use Ice Beam. That should take care of Haxorus. Good riddance. What a pain. But his team is far from done. Far from done. So, we are going to send... He sends in Dragapult, which is just as bad, if not worse, than Haxorus. Dragapult's very fast, and it has a lot of coverage, so it's just going to zap us. I actually live that attack, but I'm going to use Ice Beam. And, of course, it's not going to do enough, because my Pokemon are underleveled. But I got extremely lucky with the Frozen... Ah, dude, I froze it. I froze it. That's so cool. Even to this day, I'm like, that is so lucky. Now, his Pokemon actually does know, this Dragapult actually does know Flamethrower. So he could unfreeze himself, but the AI is not that sophisticated. So, yeah, it's just kind of stuck there. So I just healed myself. I was high on adrenaline. I was like, I just couldn't believe that had happened before my eyes. Freezing a champion's Pokemon is almost unheard of. I mean, freezing a Pokemon in general is almost unheard of. So we're just gonna go for the Ice Beam again. Notice it didn't do quite half. And that took out Dragapult. That was amazing. That's exactly what I would need to do every time, which is really a lucky thing. So he sends out his, he has 3 different Pokemon that are dependent on your starter, and for mine, because of Kiku, he sends out Mr. Rime. So, we're going to send out Mai because it'll do super effective ghost damage. It has Freeze Dry, which does super effective damage to our water type. Notice how much damage that did. That's pretty terrifying. Mr. Rime, his Mr. Rime is really annoying. Just annoying to deal with. So annoying. It's just gonna use Psychic, and that did more damage, but I tried to go for this was, in retrospect, this was a stupid move. You know, like I said before, it doesn't work if the Pokemon's faster than you. In this case, it's way faster than me. So we tried to heal up, and at this point I'm thinking, you know, we need to use Shadow Punch and actually do some damage. But it doesn't matter what I'm going to use. Mr. Rime is doing a lot of damage. Turns out Mr. Rime is an evolved form of Galarian Mr. Mime. Fun fact for the day. And 2 Psychics was all it took, unfortunately. So, yeah, this isn't a good position for us. We only have Crockett and Dagon left, which means we're likely going to have to revive Pokemon just to stay in the battle. And you know, this is really a struggle busting at this point. But I went for Gunk Shot. Unfortunately, like I said before, it has Freeze Dry, which is super effective. Crockett could not take that. And now we're in an even worse position. Now, Dagon did have a Focus Sash, so it can take a full strength move at least once and survive. We're going to try a Rock's Blast, not Rock Smash, Rock's Blast. And yes, our Focus Sash was used up. I hate that it's used up when it hits. Now, this does do super effective damage, but it only hit twice. So I was like, well, this is the final battle. Let's keep it going as long as we can. We didn't have very good counters for this Pokemon, but I sent in Kiku to fight it, because at least that would be super effective. So, it's bye Dagon, but you at least tried. And Kiku's gonna come in again, revived, with the max revive. All I need to do is use Pyro Ball. And that should be an easy takedown. Especially since Mr. Rhyme was not at full health. So, he still has 2 Pokemon left. And unfortunately, I forgot he had Inteleon. Yikes. This was just not very well calculated. It's faster than me. It does huge special attacking damage, so I knew I wasn't going to live fighting this thing. So we didn't have very good counters to this. We really didn't. This Inteleon is actually a big threat. It will outspeed me and destroy me with a Snipe Shot. I absolutely expected that. So, you know, that's one of those things where I really could not win in that situation. And we're going to try Rock Smash, because it has the Assault Vest, so it'll live at least 1 or 2 hits. Unfortunately, I didn't have Thunder Punch on me, so an Ice Punch won't work on Inteleon. But we are going to use Drain Punch. Now, Inteleon had this move called Tearful Look. Tearful Look lowers your attack and special attack by 1 stage every time he uses it, and it's priority, which means it'll go first before everything else. So he's just gonna keep lowering my attack. Honestly, this was pretty annoying. But I countered it by using Power Up Punch, which lowers my attack every time I use it. And we were in this kind of awkward struggle where he would lower my attack and I would raise it, and if he hit me with Snipe Shot, I would just heal it off. With Rock Smash is already high special defense combined with the Assault Vest, which doubles its special defense. Rock Smash had really, really high special defense at that point. We're gonna go for the Power Up Punch, but he heals Inteleon, which is annoying. So yeah, this is an annoying situation. He's gonna just keep doing this again. We're just kind of in this awkward struggle. At least Rock Smash is holding his ground. And if it wasn't for the Assault Vest, I don't think Rock Smash would have been able to keep this up. You can see our attack was level there, but it just keeps using Tearful Look, like before. And we're just gonna keep raising our attack with Power Up Punch. So at least we're able to lower its attack while we're going, or lower its health while we're going. So we're kind of winning this, just in a very slow and awkward way. Gonna get some health back here, and that was enough. That was enough to take out Inteleon. What a pain. This is why Rock Smash is easily one of the strongest Pokemon on this team. But now we still have one strong threat left, and that's his Charizard. Unfortunately, Charizard has flying type moves, and it Gigantamaxes. So, yeah, I went ahead and max revived Crockett, so I could use water type moves. So you're about to see this. It doesn't matter how high my special defense is. A Gigantamax Charizard using G-Max Airstream will do enormous damage. Enormous. And it's level 65 to boot, so it's pretty high level. And here's our Airstream. That did take us out, which is just, you know, we couldn't really do anything in that situation. So that's his first turn of Dynamax. At this point I was really tense. I was like, how are we going to get through this? Will Crockett live through this hit? Well, we're going to try a Dynamax Max Geyser, which will do super effective damage. And it should do a lot of damage. It really should. Coming from Crockett, who has enormous, but I thought it was really funny to see this Pokemon Dynamax, who has enormous special attack. This should do a lot of damage, but he had max overgrowth. He had some grass move hidden up his sleeve. I was like, what? It must have been like Solar Beam or something, I think. So that was my first attempt to take out Champion Leon. I got so close. So close. But it wasn't enough. And I tried again. And I tried again. And I tried again. And at this point, I was five turns in. Knows how to use Growl to trick that King Shield, and we're just gonna Pyro Ball. I changed up my moves. I raised my Pokemon to level 60, and I swapped out. I'm Angie, the Ribombee, from an old member of the team, who is Massive Dub. So Massive Dub actually returned for this battle, and just specifically to handle one Pokemon. So the best thing I could do with Haxorus was to send in Mai, but he actually got really high roll there and took out Mai, which is pretty irritating. He will be confused next time I send him in. I gave Rock Smash a Life Orb, so now whatever Rock Smash uses will do enormous damage regardless. Our Pokemon are a few levels higher, and so we'll do more damage than before, and also live attacks better. I actually lived that Outrage beautifully. And I went for the Yeet Blast Burn. It did do a ton of damage. Kiku doesn't have a huge role in this battle other than to take out Aegislash. That's really its primary role. We're going to just use the Mach Punch to take out Haxorus for that priority. Wah! Get out of here. And now we have to deal with Mr. Rime. This thing is so annoying. I didn't actually have any moves I could use against it, so I sent in Massive Dub, who I specifically trained to take out Mr. Rime, basically to assassinate it. It'll resist its Psychic move, and it'll live this Thunderbolt just to take out Mr. Rime. So that's exactly what I wanted Massive Dub to do. So Massive Dub did really well. That's all I needed him to do. So thank you, Massive Dub. Thank you. Alright, and so now we have to deal with this. How am I going to take this thing out? It's faster than me. It hits really hard. And this time, Rock Smash has Life Orb, which does do more damage, but I lose health quicker. So we barely lived on 8 HP with the Ice Punch, but I fainted because of the Life Orb. So that kind of worked and kind of didn't work. We taught Crockett Bullet Seed, which I know what you're thinking. What the heck? Why does it have Bullet Seed? Well, it was specifically to counter Inteleon. Last time we had a good situation going for us with Rock Smash. But this time we have the Bullet Seed strategy, which is not exactly reliable, but it's better than nothing. Unfortunately, I don't have any way of raising my attack this time, so I just had to kind of throw it up to chance. He almost went down that time. Almost. Yeah, we're just gonna have to play it by ear here. Unfortunately, at this point, my attack is really low, and my special attack. So Crockett's not really able to do very much. I did get that lucky critical hit. That was pretty lucky. At this point, I probably should have used a really strong attack like Hyper Beam, but I just kept going with Bullet Seed. And as you can see, it's not going to be enough. So close. So close. So we have to revive one more Pokemon for this. Snipe Shot will actually be enough to almost kill us just outright. And I'm going to heal up again. But as you can see, now that the AI knows to use Snipe Shot, it does more than half. We're not going to live another Snipe Shot, which is crazy because we resisted. That's a pretty good testimony to just how strong Inteleon's special attack is. So we have our Dusknoir. We're just going to use Nightshade. Simple, easy takedown. And now we have his Gigantamax Charizard. And we're in a little bit better position with Mai this time. We're gonna Gigantamax Mai because Mai will resist its attacks pretty well. Because Mai is just really bulky. Now, this was a goof in retrospect. Mai's attack stat is like double the amount of its special attack stat. Max Phantasm, the G-Max Ghost move, is a special attack, not a physical one, so it didn't do very much damage. It did lower his defense though. However, Hailstorm is a physical move. It used Rockfall for some reason. I don't understand why he did that. And my Hailfall actually got a crit and did huge damage. That was nice. Mai's not gonna live this next hit, so we just gonna have to go for it, unfortunately. And yeah, you know, but Mai did the job. And so we only have one Pokemon left from losing all our team, and it's Dagon wearing an Assault Vest. Can Dagon wearing an Assault Vest take down the champion's Charizard? Well, let's see. Fire Blast normally would have taken him out, but we were wearing the Assault Vest. Deep sigh of relief. The 5th time, with some extra training to level 60, we beat Champion Leon, finally. Wow, guys. What a trip. 9 jam-packed battles. And we finally did it. We beat the champion. We beat Pokemon Sword. Again. Well, for me again, but not for you. Wow. Let me just say thanks for watching with me. And being with me if you've watched for the first episode. It's a privilege, really. And now, with the campaign out of the way, we can go into DLC, finally. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to move past just the base game. So look forward to it. This is your 17819987 out.